When dribbling the ball, we need to have our knees slightly bent to give a lower center of gravity so we aren't able to get bumped off the ball as easy. Secondly, we need to have our head up. The eyes can be down, but having the head up allows us to see the whole field. Lastly, we need to carry the ball with the correct foot. In saying this, we need to have the ball on the outside foot away from the defender. There are 4 basic parts of our foot that we can use in dribbling. The first is the inside. Secondly, we can use the outside of our foot. Third, we can use the bottom to change direction. And lastly, we can use the laces for speed dribbling. The first thing that we do when passing the ball is our approach. To begin with, we must eye our target, approach the ball, and right before we strike the ball, look down and strike the ball to our partner. You will see here, Jordan this time looked up the entire time and a bad result came out of the pass. Secondly, our plant foot should be right next to the ball. This need to be pointing at the target that we're trying to hit, and the follow through must go through towards that target. Lastly is our body position. For lower passes, our body should be slightly bent over the ball, and for further passes, we should be leaning back. When receiving the ball out of the air, we must first use the 3 parts of our body. Number 1 is the chest. In receiving the ball with your chest, you should be leaning slightly back, knees bent, and feet staggered. The second part is our thigh. The same idea comes into play with the thigh. We need to let the thigh give so the ball comes directly to the ground. It is important that we teach the kids not to use the knee, as the knee will force the ball to bounce away. The last body part is the foot. Same idea as the chest and the thigh. The foot must give in order for the ball to relax nicely by our feet. When receiving the ball out of the air, not allowing the chest, thigh, or foot to give, this causes the ball to bounce off, thus losing possession. There are 6 steps that go into a correct shooting form. It starts with the approach. This needs to consist of a fluent approach without any stutter steps. Our eyes need to be looking up at our target, take a picture of our target, look down and strike the ball. Third, our plant foot should be next to the ball, facing our target. Fourth, our body should be slightly leaning over the ball. Fifth, we need to land on our shooting foot. And lastly is the follow through. We need to strike the ball and continue to follow towards the goal. When heading the ball, we need to concentrate on using our forehead or hairline to head the ball and not the top of their head. It's important to have our eyes open and our mouth shut. Our knees should be slightly bent. When we head the ball, we should continue to look straight and not drop our head. As you will see here, we have an offensive header, which can be used as a pass or a shot that goes downward. A defensive header is intended to go up and out. When punting the ball, the goalkeeper should take 4 to 5 full steps. The ball should be dropped to the foot and not tossed. The goalie should then lean back, strike the ball, trying to gain as much airtime as possible. A lot of goalkeepers like to do what is called drop kicks. These can be successful, but at the young age they probably shouldn't do this. They tend to let the ball bounce 2 or 3 times. The ball is actually live in this situation. Therefore, the other team is allowed to strike the ball and score. One thing that is unique about soccer is that the plays happen spontaneously. Unlike football, where plays are scripted, plays in soccer occur when certain situations appear on the field. The first combination play is the wall pass or the give and go. To execute this, the player dribbles towards the defender, lays the ball off to his teammate, who immediately passes the ball back. The second combination play is the overlap. This is done with the offensive player dribbling towards the defender, his teammate running behind him or her, and calling for the ball to be laid off. Lastly is the takeover. This occurs when the offensive player is dribbling towards another teammate. The teammate is going to holler for the player to say leave. The player leaves the ball instead of passing it, and the ball is taken over by the teammate. Many coaches, players, and parents are confused on when a ball is in and when it's out of bounds. To be considered out, the ball must completely break the plane of the line. As you will see, in our first three situations, the ball is still considered inbounds as it has not broken the plane. And in the last situation, the ball has broken the plane of the line, it is considered out. It's best to encourage the players to play till they hear a whistle versus stopping and wondering if the ball is in or out. One of the most confusing rules in soccer for players, parents, and coaches is the offsides rule. Basically, the offside rule applies to a player receiving a ball behind the last defender from another offensive player. We have three demonstrations that will show 1 offsides and 2 onside positions. In this first example, the player is standing behind the last defensive player when the ball is played. Therefore, they are considered offside. In the next example, you will see the player is even with the last defensive player. Even is on, so therefore this player is considered onside and play will continue. In the last example, the player is obviously in front of the last defensive player when they receive the ball, therefore they are considered onside. Regarding the offside rule, the goalie does not count as the last defender.
Next, we're going to talk about a goal kick versus a corner kick. A goal kick occurs when the offensive player kicks the ball out of bounds behind the goal line. To put the ball into play from a goal kick, the goalie will place the ball on the goal box and proceed to kick the ball back into play. A corner kick occurs when the defensive player or the goalie kicks the ball out of bounds. When putting a corner kick into play, we take the ball to the corner and place it on the white line, and an offensive player will proceed to kick the ball into play. We are demonstrating a dangerous play here. The first play is dangerous because there's an opposing player present. By kicking it on the ground, this can result in injuries to both players. If this occurs, there will be a direct kick for the opposing team. The second example is not dangerous as there is no opposing player near the ball. The second example of a dangerous play goes against the yellow player. The yellow player kicks his leg high in the air close to the face of the red player. As you can see, when there's no opposing player around, it's not a dangerous play. The last example of a dangerous play is dangerous against the red player, as he lowers his head and runs toward the ball. As you can see, this is what could happen.